Yo, what is going on YouTube? It's your boy Dan, aka aDrive. I'm ready, guys. Week 3 of the NPA. The Minnesota Vikavolts are taking on the Maryland Torterrapins, and coach Under the Radar. If you guys are hyped for this match, show some love on that like button down below, and definitely make sure you guys subscribe if you are new. Kelly Under the Radar is a tremendous battler, guys. Really good. I believe he's a league champion from another league, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check that. Yes, he is a league champion from another league. I'm sorry, I don't know what league, but I know he's a very good battler. I know he's been an analyst for different leagues before, so this guy knows what he's doing. So we are not going to take this situation lightly. And I also mentioned in my pregame press conference, which you should check out, of course, in the description below, where I break down my team and sets, that I'm actually traveling this week and next week. So things are a little bit crazy. There's no match next week, guys. We have a bye week in the NPA, so we have a built-in week every season where we don't play. That is next week for me. There's no match next week, but this is my last match before I travel. Again, I had to hastily prepare a little bit. I didn't quite have as much time as I would like, but after this match, we have a break and then no match again, and then we play again in a few weeks, and I should have my schedule a little bit more clear for that. But nevertheless, I feel decent about this matchup. I think I got a good team for it. It's gonna just depend on us making the plays as usual. Got to make those good plays, got to get those hazards up. It got to be aggressive and just not be put on our back foot. It's got some pretty big threats like that Charizard X and stuff like that, but I do think we can come out on top. Question of the day today is, what do you guys like more, Z moves in Alola, or do you guys like Mega Evolutions? What's funny is I don't actually have a Mega on my team, obviously, but Kelly does. I opted for Necrozma, and I actually don't have a Z move on my team this week either, so that's kind of interesting too. But nevertheless, we are going to get things kicked off here. I'm going to get connected to Kelly Under the Radar, and let's see how it goes, guys. Let's do it. Alright guys, we are connecting here with Kelly Under the Radar. We're going to find out exactly what team he's bringing. Really expecting the Zard, the Skarmory, the Jellicent, the Nidoqueen. I feel very confident about those four. There's a chance that he brings the Lucario Persian. I think Lickitung could be something he brings if he's fearing Hail, especially for me setting up Aurora Veils. Otherwise, I mean, Braviary could come if he's trying to catch me off guard with that Defiant, but let's see what he's going to bring here. Let's see what that squad is going to be for Under the Radar, and it looks like it is going to be a lot of similar things. I did call a couple things there. We do see the Braviary. We are going to see the Heliolisk as well, and Heliolisk could actually cause some problems for our team, but I think we can make it work. So let me just update the layout here with Heliolisk. So we'll see that, and new Lucario, which is nice, and then we're going to see Braviary, and Braviary could very well be Scarf, so we do have to be very cautious of that, because it does hit pretty hard, man. This thing is a very good wall breaker, very offensive threat, so we'll have to be a little cautious there, but there is Mr. Braviary. So let's make some notes here on my other side here. Braviary, and instead of Lucario, we see Heliolisk. So for me here, I mean, this really feels like an opportunity for me to just lead with my, with my Crocodile, potentially try to get those Stealth Rocks up and prevent him from setting up his own Stealth Rocks. The only where that really stinks is if he leads Braviary. If he leads with that thing and I get an Intimidate off at the beginning, that could be actually really problematic, because if it's like Scarf Braviary, it kind of rips to my team. So that's a little bit scary there. And Heliolisk obviously can surf against Crocodile, but he'd be more willing to switch out there. So I'm leaning towards he's not going to lead Braviary, so I'm going to lead with Steve here to try to prevent that and try to get my Stealth Rocks up right away. I think that's going to be important. Now, Kelly's a great battler, so it is possible here that he's got that brain power going, and he's going to lead Braviary here, but my plan going into this match was to lead Crocodile either way, so we'll see if he's ready for that, because obviously Braviary has the ability to Defiant, which boosts its attack stage 2 points if its speed, or if its stat goes drop. So Intimidate drops it by 1, and then it goes up by 2, but he's actually going to lead Charizard, so that's something I've seen actually very frequently, is people leading Charizard because of the Stealth Rot weakness, but luckily for us, my Steve here can put in some work. Now, he is forced to Mega Evolve in the first turn. He has to Mega Evolve on turn 1 here. So for me, I mean, this just screams that I should set up Stealth Rocks. It's very unlikely that he stays in here. Now, it is possible he does stay in expecting a Stealth Rock. He's also likely to switch out into Skarmory or something like that, but I'm going to go for the Stealth Rocks right here. Get those rocks up, force him to switch out, and also force him to defog later in the match to remove those hazards, obviously. With him having a Charizard, with him having a Braviary, both those Pokemon are taking a good amount of damage from Stealth Rocks every turn, so especially the Charizard. Even after Mega, it still takes 25%, but prior to Mega, it takes 50%. So lots of damage there. So I think getting up these hazards is very important. Now keep in mind his Charizard is -1 attack right now as well, which is very nice because that makes him much less of an offensive threat. We do have some bulk on our Crocodile here, so he's actually going to stay in and Mega Evolve here. He might be going for a Will-O-Wisp. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Will-O-Wisp variant of this Charizard here, but it should allow me to get up my Stealth Rocks at the very least. So we are going to get our Rocks up here, and we actually see that we outspeed him, leading me to believe that he is a Dragon Dance variant. An Adamant Dragon Dance variant. He's gonna go for the Will-O-Wisp, and he actually misses. So that's really good for us. So we see the Will-O-Wisp. We actually saw that we were faster as well, and I did expect to see that Will-O-Wisp. So he's definitely a bulkier variant of this Pokemon here. Now, this is an interesting situation for me because I can predict the Will-O-Wisp again, or I can make the safe play and just Earthquake and try to do some damage to him. Obviously, taking a Will-O-Wisp with Steve here is not ideal. Him switching into the Skarmory to take an Earthquake here is a very, very likely switch in. So this is kind of a tough play for us here at the beginning. Obviously, EQing into the Skarmory could be problematic. We are carrying the Taunt though, so I can kind of keep him off guard there and maybe fire off a knockoff on the following play. So I'm gonna make the safe play here and go for the Earthquake just in case he decides to stay in. I do think it's very likely that he switches out in a Skarmory though, but I am gonna make the safe play here because obviously knockoff's not really gonna do too much, and I don't want to get burned and not be able to really dish out much damage back. But pretty sure that he's gonna have like Roost and a Will-O-Wisp, potentially Dragon Claw, Fire Blast, or Fire Flare Blitz or something like that. So more of a bulky Charizard we're already seeing here, and we do outspeed him. So he has all the reason to believe that I'm more of like an offensive variant. So we are going to get this Earthquake off here. This should actually do a decent amount to him. It is super effective at stab. So we're going to see that do about 60% or so, which is nice. And he's going to just go for the Dragon Claw. So I don't know if he expected me to switch out there or what that was all about, but that's going to give us our lefties back here, and we're going to see the Dragon Claw. Very nice there. So now we have a tough play here to decide what we want to do. We have Rocks up. The chances of him switching out here are just so incredibly likely. And it's just like insanely likely that he switches here, but I also don't want to allow him to get a free Roost up. So there's a couple different things we have to kind of factor in here. So let's think about this play. Now that we know he's more like bulky, he's probably got max HP. Yeah, based on that. So knockoff really is going to do like 20% to him. It really doesn't do a whole lot. But getting a knockoff on the switch could be really good. I think his switch into Skarm is really likely. The thing is Charizard is going to go down on the next play. Like I outspeed him and just kill him with Earthquake. So I'm actually going to go for that knockoff here. I really feel like the chance of him staying in are just so incredibly low. Because he would lose his Charizard on the third turn of the match. Like, is he really just going to allow that? I'm going to say no. I'm going to go for the knockoff here. He is going to switch out, so we are going to get a free knockoff onto something. It's going to be Burb, which is likely to be that Skarmory. Here comes the Skarmory, and this is nice. We're going to get some Stealth Rocks damage off on it, some good chip damage. Big knockoff coming off it in the Skarmory. That's going to do a good amount of damage, actually. We get rid of his lefties. So we're going to see that he has no item now on his Skarmory, which is really nice. And we know this Charizard is sitting at about 30%, let's say, and the Skarmory is sitting at about, he's got no item, he's sitting about 60%. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go for a taunt here, and we're going to taunt him to keep him from doing any shenanigans to us. This is going to keep him from defogging and keep him from setting up his own hazards. He's going to go for Roost. Very nice there. So we see the Roost in this thing. So he tries to get some longevity, expecting us to switch out, and that is not the case. And now I get to fire off another knockoff here. And potentially get rid of an item on something else, because really the only thing you can do to me is Brave Bird or Iron Head, and those two moves I'm not too scared of. So we could potentially knock off the Colbur on the Jellicent, we can knock off a potential Scarf on the Braviary, he could switch in the Charizard and fodder that thing off at this point in time. He can go into Heliolisk and take a tremendous amount of damage from our knockoff, but Steve is putting on so much pressure here in these early turns and really has proven to be very effective. Obviously him missing that Will-O-Wisp on turn 1 was crucial. I knew that there was a chance that he would go for it, but to me getting up those Stealth Rocks was worth it to me. So that Will-O-Wisp really put Kelly on kind of the back foot and has really given us the momentum since that first turn. But we'll see what he's going to do here. Either way, a knockoff into something is going to be nice. He's just going to stay in, so we will get a knockoff off here. It's not going to do too much. We will see an Iron Head, and you can see just how little that does to me. And what he's probably going to do here is try to stall out our taunt. So how many turns of taunt do we have? We've got 1 turn left to taunt. So I can knock off again and prevent him from taunting. Really all he's going to do is Iron Head. So we'll go for the knockoff here. Do a good amount of damage to him. He's going to Iron Head again. And now we're in a situation where taunt is like the incredible obvious play. It's the obvious play here to prevent him from getting a roost off and prevent him from iron heading. However, I could predict the switch and go for a knockoff. I think I have to taunt though. I think to me it's worth taunting at this point in the match because of how low health this Skarmory is. If I allow him to roost here and defog and all that other stuff, it's actually going to cause me more problems in the future. So I think me taunting here makes the most sense. It definitely makes the most sense that I taunt. But I feel like he's going to switch. Again, same kind of scenario, right? It makes sense for him to switch here. What would he switch into though? Probably Nidoqueen or potentially Jellicent. I'm gonna go for the knockoff, I think. What do I want to do? All right, so if I taunt and he switches out, I mean, really, if I taunt and he switches out, it doesn't put me in a terrible spot. It keeps the Charizard from doing anything. It keeps the Jellicent from potentially Will-O-Wisping me. That forces Gelatin to Scald. So we're not in a terrible spot if he switches here, and he's really, really low. And if I allow him to roost, that could be problematic. I'm gonna go for the taunt and play it safe, and it works out. So that was the right play. Whew, almost over predicted there. He goes for the Iron Head, so he's just going on the offensive here, just trying to get as much damage off on Steve as he can. But that taunt is gonna be really good for us because we are gonna keep him from being able to go for a roost or something like that. So let's check our taunt turns again. We've got 2 turns of taunt. That looks like that's 2 knockoffs. So we're gonna go for the knockoff again. And 2 knockoffs should be able to take out this Skarmory at this point in time, and that would remove his ability to set up hazards. It'd also remove his ability to get rid of our hazards. So I think 2 knockoffs will do it though. Let's see this damage here. Yeah, that's looking like a second knockoff will be able to do it. He'll go for the Iron Head here, and all we gotta do is go for 1 more knockoff and we get rid of Skarmory. And even though Steve is super duper weakened, getting rid of Skarmory is a core piece of this plan here to allow things like Necrozma to put in the work. So we're just gonna click knockoff again. And we are gonna pick up the kill. So Steve, or Crook, kills Skarm with knockoff. And us making that safe play there was definitely the right play. I mean, I guess it didn't matter since he didn't go for roost or anything, but you know, he let his Skarmory go down, and that was actually really good for us. So here comes Lizard, which is gonna be his Heliolisk. I'm fully expecting to see like a Surf from this thing. He could also just Volt Switch out here. So I think Steve has some usefulness still, especially in dealing with that Charizard. And obviously I'm gonna outspeed things like the Nidoqueen. So it's very likely that he goes for a Volt Switch here. But at the same time, I feel like he needs to actually make a play at this point in time. So if he Volt Switches here and I Earthquake, he just loses Heliolisk. So I don't think that that's likely. So I think I'm actually just gonna make the safe play into Meadow. Because I can take both stabs, and I know I can take like a Hyper Voice and stuff. Pretty sure he's gonna go for the Surf though. But he very well could go for a Volt Switch here, which would be like a super solid play on his part. But I'm just not willing to let Steve go down at this point in time. But he is gonna just go for a Hyper Voice here. I'm curious to see whether there's a 2-shot or not. It looks like it's gonna be just shy of a 2-hit KO, which is really nice. So I should be able to actually live any hit from this thing based on that damage roll. Let me actually run a quick calc here, just to kind of get a little bit more intel on what this Heliolisk is doing, because that did just about half to me. We're sitting at 93 out of 175, so a little bit more. Hyper Voice does 49. That's if he's Life Orb. We did not see a Life Orb, so he could be like E-Belt or something like that. I don't really think he can knock me out with any hit here. So realistically, I have a couple options. I can Synthesis to get some health back. I can also Seed Flare here, which is going to do a lot to really anything that comes in. In fact, Seed Flare actually would have a chance to almost knock this thing out, whereas Earth Power definitely does. The other option is to just Synthesis up and see what he wants to do, and then make a proper switch on the next play. Although getting the damage off on something like Braviary could be really useful. Let me just see how much it does to like Braviary. Because if I could weaken this thing, that could be super clutch. Yeah, Seed Flare doesn't do much to Braviary, but it could do a decent amount. Synthesis seems to be the safest play, especially considering the fact that I think Braviary is coming in. But he also could go for like a Volt Switch here too. Go to Braviary, and then if Braviary comes in, then my switch is really going to be like, it's probably going to be Oxygen or Eclipse. Probably Eclipse actually at this point in time, at this point in the match. So I'm just going to go for the Synthesis here and see what he wants to do. He's going to just hard switch into Nidoqueen. Okay, so that's fine. Now I have a tough decision to make here, whether I just want to go for an Earth Power. The thing is, I feel like I actually need Shaman quite a bit. And we are gonna see a black sludge there. Very good to know that he's black sludge actually, guys. That's super clutch because that could actually be the difference of us living a move here. So let's take a look at this calc here. Nidoqueen, if he's black sludge instead of life orb, we might be able to live any hit. Looks like it's close. If he's modest, Sludge Wave would knock us out. Earth Power does a good amount of damage to him, and I actually think I want to go for that damage. So I'm going to go for the Earth Power here and just try to weaken this thing, because Nidoqueen is such a big threat against my team. To me, getting rid of it is worth. So we do about half to him, which leads me to believe he's very, very offensive. He's going to go for the T-Spikes, which I did think that there was a chance that he had them. But at the same time, like, I also felt that there was a chance that he didn't. So he brings the T-Spikes, and now I'm in an interesting situation where an Earth Power here would make the most sense, but it also leads him to switch into Braviary. Let's see, what do I think he's gonna do? What do I think he's gonna do? I think I wanna actually make the switch into my Vaporeon here. Although Vaporeon really can't do much to Heliolisk, which is kind of problematic. I could go into Eclipse. I could Seed Flare as well. Let's go for the Seed Flare, actually. Let's fire off a big Seed Flare and see what he wants to do. I think I could take one hit because he's definitely very bulky. And we could get the Spit F drop. So very interesting that he decides to bring a bulky Nidoqueen as opposed to like an offensive variant. And those T-Spikes could be like pretty annoying for us. So we do have to be cautious there. But I actually feel like Ninetales can put in some serious work against him. He might be Scarf Heliolisk too. That's actually something to note. He could very well be Scarfed and got a good damage roll on that Hyper Voice. But let's go for the Seed Flare, because Earth Power isn't going to kill anyway. So if like Seed Flare at least gets some damage off on Braviary, and then he takes Stealth Rocks as well, so that could actually be pretty solid. And then we can go into Vaporeon, potentially go for a Wish, or even Necrozma, because my Necrozma is pretty physically bulky. So we can definitely take some hits there. And just get some idea in terms of what this Braviary is. But he also could go for a Poison type move, but it's very clear that he's more bulky than anything, so that's why I'm gonna go for the Seed Flare here. We actually missed the Seed Flare, and he's gonna go for the Stealth Rock. So we find out that his Nidoqueen is actually the Pokemon that is the one who is providing the hazard support for him. So he goes for Stealth Rocks and T-Spikes, and I have no way to get rid of those, which is kind of unfortunate. My Seed Flare play still is, I think, what the best play is for me. So I'm going to go for Seed Flare again, because I think Seed Flare with a drop forces him out, and then I can Earth Power. It also hits everything incredibly hard on his team, but he does get like 2 layers of hazards here, which I was not expecting. So that lets me know that his Skarmory was like definitely built in a totally different way than kind of what I was expecting, but it's not the end of the world. I still want to keep the offensive pressure up here with Shaman. I mean, I obviously could have switched into Ninetales at this point in time, but I think that Shaman can still put on some pressure against his Nidoqueen, and I'm thinking he's going to expect me to switch out here at some point. The only thing that I don't like in this matchup right now is I don't like my Vaporeon matchup. I'm regretting that. But we are going to hit this Seed Flare here and just do a tremendous amount of damage. We'll see the Flamethrower from the Nidoqueen, which I don't actually think is going to do a ton to us. You're going to see that's not even going to do half. And we actually have him in Seed Flare range again. So us missing that Seed Flare stinks, but now we can threaten him out again with a second Seed Flare, and there's not really a whole lot he can do about it. So I'm going to go for that Seed Flare again. And I understand that Seed Flare can miss here, as we already missed one. But I don't want to give him that free switch into the Braviary. I don't think that's worth it. And Shaman still has a lot of usefulness. This also keeps like Jellicent from switching in. Heliolisk is not switching in. So I think picking up this kill here is going to be clutch. And I think keeping our Shaman as healthy as possible is going to be pretty important, actually, kind of moving down the stretch of this match. Because it does match up well against the Heliolisk, stops that thing pretty well. Like I said, if there's anything on our team right now that is not useful, it is the, we missed again, and he goes for Flamethrower. So we missed 2 Seed Flares, man, which is really brutal. And he picks up a lot of damage there on us, and he gets a little health back. Seed Flare will be able to pick up this kill, though, and I know that an Earth Power would have killed him at this point in time. I'm going to go for another Seed Flare here, because I do think that's the right play. But missing 2 Seed Flares there has been pretty brutal, actually. Like, that really stinks. That really, really stinks. Because we took all that damage from the Nidoqueen when otherwise we would have been sitting at about full health. So we are going to Seed Flare this time. We actually hit this one, so Shaman kills that thing and kills Nidoqueen with Seed Flare. And unfortunately, like I said, I mean, that was not the ideal situation for our Shaman at all. Obviously, like I just said, Shaman being at high health was very important there, but missing 2 Seed Flares does kind of make up for the fact that Will-O-Wisp miss, maybe. But we do have our rocks up here, which is really going to hinder that Charizard's ability to be effective. The rocks are going to hurt the Braviary. If he brings Braviary in here, I just kind of sack off Shaman. If he brings in Heliolisk for momentum, then I think we just let the Heliolisk kill us, just so we can find out what move he's going to go for, which is likely Volt Switch. Here comes Heliolisk, so I'm expecting a Volt Switch here. He's going to take some rocks damage as well. I don't think it's worth shaving Shaman because it's going to die anyway. So I'm going to go for the Synthesis here on the off chance that I can live, and he goes for like a sub or something. I'm not living a Volt Switch though. But this will give me an opportunity to go into like Necrozma. It also can bring me into Ape or something like that. So he does just go for the Hyper Voice here. So Heliolisk kills Shaman with Hyper Voice. So now I'm actually kind of feeling my Necrozma switch in here. Vaporeon doesn't do anything. Kind of feeling my Necrozma switch in because I don't think Ninetales is living a hit from this thing. I mean, we speed tie and I think he's scarfed. How much does scarfed Helios do to Ninetales with Hyper Voice? Not a ton. I think he is scarfed though. And I don't want to deal with that speed tie, whereas I think my Necrozma actually comes in pretty well against this thing, and I can set up a Calm Mind. He could have Dark Pulse, but we know he's not Life Orb, so like a Dark Pulse I don't think does really that. Yeah, he doesn't really do much to Necrozma. So what does Necrozma do to Jellicent though? If I go +1, can I beat the Jellicent at +1? Doesn't really look like I can. I really have to really set up to beat the Jellicent. Depending on his spread. So Necrozma seems like a good play here. And then I think he switches into Jellicent is what I would guess. The other option is Vaporeon. I really don't see Vaporeon doing much here. I can go into Rafiki as well and threaten him out. Can Rafiki actually take a hit? I'm running out of time here, but can Rafiki take a hit? Because that could actually be really good for me if I can take one, if I can take a Hyper Voice. Looks like I can. Looks like I can. So I'm actually thinking about that because I could immediately threaten him out with a Mach Punch here and kind of scare him and get some U-turn damage and get some momentum. This could be a risky play. Yeah, I'm leaning towards it. I'm going to go to Rafiki here and threaten him with the potential that I have Mach Punch. Now, I almost brought Mach Punch. Very close to bringing Mach Punch, and I didn't. The good news is here, U-turn does a good amount to this thing, so I'm just going to go for the U-turn. And expect him to actually switch out here and go into Jellicent. That's what I'm expecting. And the reason for that is I want to go into my Ninetales and set up a nasty plot. That's my objective here. I don't think he just Hyper Voices. He is going to switch out, and he goes into Jellyfish, so exactly what I expected. So I'm pretty sure that Heliolisk is scarfed. We're going to get some nice chip damage there. And we bluff him out there with the potential Mach Punch. So that was really good. I don't know how many times we can do that, but it worked out that time. So now I get to go into Ninetales here. And Ninetales can set up a nasty plot and scare him with Freeze Dry. Is that my play? I think it definitely is. I mean, the other option would be going to Steve here and just go for a knockoff. I think the chance of him having a Colbur Berry is just incredibly high though. But what does he switch into a Freeze Dry at this point in time? He really doesn't have a switch into a Freeze Dry. So I'm going to just go into Emma Frost here. And I don't really think there's much Jellicent can do back to me aside from going to his Heliolisk. But he's not going to just switch into Heliolisk here on like a free switch. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. We take a good amount of damage there. We activate our Snow Warning. And this is a tough play for me. Do I go for the Aurora Veil? Do I go for the Nasty Plot? Like, that Aurora Veil could be very, very useful. So, kind of tough call. I really think that going for a Nasty Plot here is pretty solid, though. He knows he can live one Freeze Dry. So I'm thinking I want a Nasty Plot, but I also kind of want a Freeze Dry and then Aurora Veil, too. I feel like the Aurora Veil is pretty nice. Like, those couple turns could actually be really, really big. To have that extra, like, leeway. I mean, Freeze Dry is gonna do like up to 60%. So freeze dry can definitely pick up the kill on him. I think I'm just gonna go for the freeze dry. I don't really see much of a benefit to nasty plotting. I don't think it's gonna really get us anywhere. I'm just gonna go for the freeze dry here. He might have Yachi. He does not have Yachi berry, so we'll see what kind of spread he is. This could actually knock him out, but it's gonna come up a little short. Gets a good amount of damage off, and he goes for the Hex here. I don't know if this will kill. I think it will. Looks like it's gonna just be a little short there of killing us, which is nice because this will give me the opportunity to get at my Aurora Veil. I can live the damage there. He's forced to either heal or allow us the Aurora Veil. What do I think is more useful? I actually feel like I should attack instead of get the Aurora Veil, because getting rid of this jellyfish here is huge. I think I should just get rid of him. I'm gonna just go for a Blizzard. Pretty sure Blizzard kills at this range. Yeah, it should. I mean, freeze dry is pretty safe though. I'll just go for the freeze dry. I think getting rid of the Jellicent is worth more than getting up the Aurora Veil, because if I go for Aurora Veil and he recovers, I have a lot harder time getting rid of Jellicent afterwards. He could also sack off his Charizard here, but with this Jellicent at such a low amount of health, it's gonna be really hard for him to like kind of recover there. And once Jellicent's gone, Necrozma can actually beat kind of what's left. So that was a big thing I was worried about. Ninetales kills Jellicent with freeze dry, and Ninetales dies to poison from T-Spikes. All right, cool. So we got rid of the Jellicent. Now he's got Heliolisk, Charizard, and Braviary. I'm gonna go into our Eclipse now. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm definitely going into our Necrozma here. And now my objective is just to go for a Power Gem and just hit anything I can on his team as hard as I can. If he goes into Heliolisk, I'll Psychic. But everything else, we just need to hit as hard as possible. Basically what we need to do is we need to get him to a situation where once that Heliolisk is gone, then Vaporeon is actually good again. But until that point in time, Vaporeon's not very useful. Crocodile still has some use as well, as it obviously can take Electric-type moves, and it keeps that Heliolisk from going from an Electric-type move, because that forces him to switch out there, because I am expecting him to be Scarfed. He's going to go into Free Burb here, which is going to be his Braviary, which is exactly why I didn't go into Crook, because that would have been a really poor decision. Now, he could be a number of different Braviary sets here, but realistically, like, a Power Gem is still going to really hurt. It should be a 2 KO. It looks like it is, so I'm just gonna go for the Power Gem, because really the only thing you could do to me is like Brave Bird, but like we're super bulky, so I'm just gonna Power Gem. And Power Gem hits everything on his team really hard too, so I don't really have to even worry. Like, he can't sub up on me, he can try bulking out, but it's not really gonna be that useful. His best offensive moves would be like Brave Bird, stuff like that. So I mean, realistically, like even if he was like fully physically offensive, I don't even think he 2-hit KOs with Brave Bird. So Power Gem here is definitely the play. I might even be faster than him too if he's not running a speed investment, because actually no, probably not. He would have to be like fully bulk invested. He should be faster than us. But this is gonna definitely hurt. And I don't expect him to be Scarfed, because I think the Heliolisk is Scarfed. So that could be good for us too. The situation that this doesn't go well is if he is Scarfed and he hits us really hard here. But I know we could take a U-turn. So he is going to go for the U-turn here, so he's going to try to preserve this thing as best as he can. You're going to see us just like eat that hit like no problem. And now we get to go for a big Power Gem into whatever we want, which is either the Charizard or the Heliolisk. And Heliolisk is not going to want to take this, so it is going to be the Charizard. So Necrozma picks up the kill on Charizard. So Necrozma kills Charizard with Power Gem. And that's pretty sweet. But now I have to figure out... oops. Clicked the wrong thing there. No. I clicked the wrong thing. Now I have to figure out how U-turn. Was he Scarf Braviary first and foremost? Because if he is, that's like really problematic, if I'm being honest. So I might actually be best off saving Eclipse here. Here comes Lizard. Okay. So I think it's in my best interest to save this thing at this point in time. I don't anticipate him going for an Electric type move, but I think I should go into Steve anyway here. I think what I need to do is go into Steve and then go like sack off Steve here. Could go into Oxygen as well. Oxygen really can't do much but set up a Wish though, which is kind of obnoxious. But it's really my dead weight here. So yeah, I'm gonna just make the safe play and go into Oxygen here so I can set up a Wish, potentially get my Necrozma back in at full. Because I think that's like the most important thing I can do here. I don't anticipate an Electric move. I think he's gonna go for the Hyper Voice. This is actually like a really close match right now. He's got the Z move. So what Z move is it? It is the Normalium Z. So Normalium Z Hyper Voice, I'm assuming, is what we're gonna see here. Which isn't bad, really. Like, we could definitely take the breakneck. I think we can actually take it, too. So now we know he's not scarfed, which is nice. Kind of nice, I suppose. We do take it. Hail stops. And that makes me think that his, that makes me think that the Braviary is actually scarfed, if I'm being honest. And what I don't want to do is I don't want to give that thing a boost. I don't want to give it a boost. I'm going to go for Wish and just let him take me out here. And actually, I wonder if Crook can take a hit, because he's got to have Surf, dude. He's got to have Surf. Alright, so I got to find out, can Infernape live a hit from Heliolisk at this range? Like, he's got no Life Orb. His Hyper Voice is 65 to 79. It's going to be close whether he can live the hit or not, because that's going to be what it comes down to. We actually are going to need to be able to fire off a close combat here, I think. He's going to Hyper Voice again. Okay, so I got to run some serious calcs on my my Infernape here and find out whether I can live a Hyper Voice or not. I think it's going to be really close. So we're sitting at what? We're sitting at 118 out of 151, which puts us at 78%. And we're gonna lose, what is it, 12%? So that puts us at 66. And the damage calc on him being timid, which he most likely is that he's doing 67 to 94. So that's not too good for us. Eclipse, however, can take the hit. Can Steve take a hit? Dude, I think we're in a bad spot, guys. This isn't what I wanted this to be. Bringing Vaporeon was a mistake. Yeah, Steve is not living a hit here. Steve is not living a Hyper Voice at this range, I don't think, guys. No. Eclipse is really the only thing that can come in and take hits from this thing. But after Rocks, I have to Morning Sun. I think I gotta go into Eclipse here, and I have to click Morning Sun. And just try to get as much health as I can. As you can see, we take a lot of damage there, and this poison is gonna rack up. I'm gonna go for the Morning Sun, though, and try to get as much health as I can, and we're gonna try to stall out this Heliolisk. I know I could take one hit at this range. And this will prepare me to take on the Braviary better. Which I am thinking is Scarf Braviary now, at this point in time. But we trust in Necrozma, man. We're gonna trust in Necrozma. Yeah, so I almost brought Vikavolt, and if we brought Vikavolt instead of Vaporeon, it would have been a huge difference. It would have made a huge, huge difference. Because Vaporeon proved to be essentially useless against Heliolisk, against Jellicent. I brought it to cover Charizard, but he's got the Hyper Beam on his Heliolisk here. That is gonna do a lot of damage, my friends, and that is going to pick up the kill. Yikes. Heliolisk, Hyper Beam, Necrozma for kill. Okay, so he's locked in here. This is where I go to Steve. I think this is definitely where I go to Steve, because there's no point in bringing in Ape. He's 100% stuck in staying here, and I don't want to give him a free Intimidate. So we got to go into Steve here, and I really wish I had Mach Punch, guys, because that would make all the difference. But what I have to do here is I have to go for an Earthquake. He is he stuck in here? Yeah, I'm pretty sure when you Hyper Beam, you're stuck, so I'm going to go for the Earthquake here. Pretty sure you can't switch out. Yeah, so Crook kills Heliolisk with Hyper Beam. And honestly, guys, I'm a little frustrated because I know that Braviary's scarfed, and I know that if he brings in Braviary here, he actually is going to win the game because Braviary's return will be able to pick up the kill on both Crocodile and on Infernape here. So if he is scarfed, which I'm pretty sure he is based on the way he used it before, this is looking like it's going to be a 1-0 for Kelly and Under the Radar. This game's not over, but without me having Mach Punch on Infernape here and bringing Close Combat instead, that's a mistake in prep. We almost brought Mach Punch. It was definitely on the tip of our tongue in terms of moves we were going to bring, and it's looking like it might just bite us in the butt here. I'll run a calc on it just out of curiosity, but I'm pretty sure that Mach Punch would have been what we needed because he's going to be sitting at around half health here. Mach Punch, it looks like it wouldn't have done it. We're going to go for a knockoff here on the off chance that we could live on just a tiny sliver of health, but it's not looking too good. I don't anticipate us living any hit from a Braviary here. And if he is indeed Scarf, that's going to be really brutal. He is going to go for a Brave Bird here that is going to connect. So we see the Brave Bird. So Braviary kills Crook with Brave Bird. And he's going to take some recoil damage. And Infernape is not scarfed either. Almost brought Scarf Ape. But Rafiki gets to come in here, and we know he's scarfed at this point in time, so he's going to go for the Brave Bird. And he's going to pick up the 1-0 win, man. So it's one of those games, dude. I feel like we played pretty well. There was a little bit of hacks on both sides there, kind of rounding things out. I had a feeling that he was going to be scarfed, Braviary, but you know, I thought that his Helios was scarfed, and then he showed the Normalium Z there, so I did play around it, but there's no way we're living a Brave Bird from a Braviary, and you're going to see him take some serious damage here from that, bring him down to about 30%, and that's where we're going to take the loss. So congrats to UnderTheRadar Kelly for just a great match, man. Like, I can't even be mad about that. Like, I'm not even mad. In terms of things he could have done better, I think in preparation, that was my biggest mistake. Not bringing Vikavolt was a huge problem, because Vikavolt really would have matched up well against this team. I think not having like Mach Punch or something was also kind of a big deal, because Mach Punch would have also had a chance to secure that kill there, and also pressured out the Heliolisk earlier. In terms of other things, you know, I think you know, Scarf Ape was something that I was really close to bringing, and I should have brought. Obviously, that would have made the difference in this match. If I was Scarf Ape, then I would have easily come in on the Heliolisk. I would have been able to pressure him again with the U-turns, and I wouldn't have had to worry about the Braviary there. So that was really like kind of a situation where I feel like now knowing what he had, obviously hindsight's 2020, but now knowing what he had, like, you know, in preparation, we could have made some tweaks that could have kind of helped us cover for those things, because even looking at the team right now, like, Scarf Braviary like rips through my team just looking at a team comp, aside from Necrozma, and the fact that he burned that Hyper Beam there, which is a great play, right? So he like had that Hyper Beam, saved it, and probably what I should have done is like scouted for it, but because of the hazard damage that he was able to set from Nidoqueen and like get up those rocks and T-spikes, it made it very challenging for us to be able to switch in consistently with me not having a proper hazard remover. So all the props in the world to Kelly, UnderTheRadar, guys. Show him some love for sure. I hope you guys enjoyed this match. You can't get much better than that. A nice 1-0. Obviously, it would have been nice if we were on the other side of the 1-0, but that's Pokemon for you guys. You can't win every one. So we fall to 1-2. We do have a bye week next week, so we do not play, but it's all good, man. So I'll see you guys in a couple weeks for the Minnesota Vikavolts. Of course, check the description below. Shirts are probably gone. Today's the last day to get shirts, so definitely grab one of those. But thank you guys for watching. That's gonna be it for me, guys. My name is Dan. I'll also go by aDrive, and I'm gonna catch you guys later. Peace.